millions heard her voice. One Oscar-winning ballad soared above them all. But behind the fame, something was breaking. What was it about this song that made a band crumble from the inside out? In the summer of 1986, a haunting melody wrapped itself around one of the most iconic scenes in movie history. A silhouetted kiss, a slow burning tension, a love suspended in time, and echoing behind it all, her voice.
Take my breath away.
Take My Breath Away didn't just soundtrack a film, it became the heartbeat of Top Gun. And at the center of it was Terri Nunn, the unmistakable voice of the band Berlin. But what most people never realized is that the very song that catapulted Berlin into the stratosphere wasn't born from the band's own heart. They didn't write it, they didn't play on it. In fact, they didn't even hear it until it was too late. How did one song, one beautiful, aching, cinematic ballad, become both a band's greatest triumph and the beginning of its undoing? The answer doesn't begin in a studio or on stage. It begins in a garage. Sometimes fate doesn't announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it rolls into your life on four wheels, painted red, engine humming, brakes failing. Tom Whitlock was just a young mechanic in Los Angeles, the kind of man who blended into the background. No entourage, no record deal, but he had something most people overlooked: lyrics, quiet ones he wrote between oil changes and brake jobs, in the margins of invoices, on the backs of his hands. Then came the Ferrari. Behind the wheel, Giorgio Moroder, the maestro of synth-driven movie soundtracks, fresh off an Oscar win for Flashdance. He wasn't there looking for talent. He just needed his car fixed. But sometimes, the right car in the right garage changes everything. The two struck up an unlikely friendship, and when Moroder found himself under pressure to deliver new songs for Top Gun, with his usual lyricists unavailable, he remembered the kid who fixed his brakes and wrote poetry. No big speech, no promises, just two demo tapes, quietly handed over. One was Danger Zone. The other, Take My Breath Away. Whitlock sat in his car that night, cassette hissing, melodies hanging in the air like fog. The title was already chosen. But the story? That part was his. In just 2 days, he delivered lyrics soaked in longing, fragile, cinematic, unforgettable. And suddenly, this young mechanic wasn't just fixing machines, he was writing history. But Moroder still needed one thing: a voice. And when he found it, that voice would ignite the world and quietly tear a band apart from the inside. She wasn't supposed to sing it. When Giorgio Moroder began casting for the voice of Take My Breath Away, he wasn't thinking about Terri Nunn. Not at first. He offered it to Martha Davis of the Motels, an established name, a proven talent. But the demo didn't land. Something was missing. Then he remembered Terri. They had worked together once before. Her voice had range, yes, but more than that, it had feeling. A kind of raw, emotional current that could make even a single note feel like a confession. So Giorgio called her, just to demo the song. Just a placeholder, he said. She stepped into the studio, not knowing this moment would echo for decades. She listened to the melody, slow, haunting, restrained, and decided to go deeper. She softened the edges, elongated the phrasing, added tension where there had been none. Her instincts took over. She made it hers. When Giorgio heard the playback, he didn't ask for anyone else, but no one told Berlin. The band hadn't been in the studio, they hadn't written the song, they hadn't played a single note, and yet their name would be stamped on the biggest track of their entire career. Terri had found magic, but the rest of the band? They were about to feel like ghosts in their own story. When the lights dimmed and Top Gun premiered, Terri sat in the theater like everyone else, waiting to see where the song had landed. What she didn't know was that the producers had fallen so deeply in love with Take My Breath Away, they had rewritten the film to let it breathe.
Take my breath away.
They carved out an entirely new scene just to showcase the full track, uninterrupted. And as the melody swelled and her voice filled the room, the rest of Berlin sat in stunned silence. They hadn't even heard it yet. There was no guitar riff from John Crawford, no synth runs from David Diamond, just Terri's voice over Giorgio's instrumental arrangement. It was polished, pristine, and completely unlike anything Berlin had ever done. The record label didn't care. They saw what was coming. They knew Top Gun would be a phenomenon. They demanded the song be added to Berlin's next album, Count 3 and Pray, despite the band's protests that it didn't fit their sound. They were right about one thing: it would be a hit. But in giving Berlin a chart-topping anthem, they unknowingly handed them a ticking time bomb. In the end, it wasn't scandal or betrayal or failure that broke Berlin. It was success. A song they didn't write, a sound they didn't choose, a spotlight they didn't expect. The irony wasn't lost on any of them. Take My Breath Away became the song that millions of fans fell in love with, and the song that quietly ended a band that had worked for years to define itself on its own terms. Terri Nunn continued performing it. How could she not?
Watching every motion in this foolish love affair.
It was part of her voice, her story, even if it didn't fully belong to her band. But every time she stepped on stage, the echo of that history followed her. And though Berlin would later reunite in various forms, the original magic, the raw, united pulse that gave birth to their early sound, was never quite the same. Somewhere between the lyrics and the legacy, something was lost. Today, Take My Breath Away remains one of the most iconic songs of the 1980s. It's immortalized not just in pop culture, but in the emotional memory of a generation. It still plays in wedding montages, in late-night radio dedications, in flashbacks to simpler times. And yet, beneath its beauty lies a cautionary tale about artistic identity, about the cost of compromise, about the fragile balance between passion and fame. Terri Nunn gave that song its soul. Her voice, her choices, her subtle inflections, they turned a cold demo into something unforgettable. But the band that carried the name, they paid a quiet, invisible price. And maybe that's the haunting truth behind every great love song. It gives you everything, but it never gives it back.